Hi guys, I'm Nick Bester, the founder of Best Athletics, and today I'm joined by a guest who I'm very excited to speak to. As you know, my history, I started running by entering a crazy race called the Comrades Marathon, and today I'm joined by a winner of the Comrades Marathon in 2024, Piet Weirsma. Piet, really looking forward to catching up with you today. Super excited to have you on the podcast. And we currently at Wednesday. The race was on Sunday, Comrades Marathon uprun, basically 86 kilometers. How was it? How did it feel like to win? And please tell us, are you still stiff 3 days later?
Yeah, thank you, and great to be here, and thanks for the invitation. Yeah, I mean, my calves are a little bit stiff. That was also what started cramping at the end of the race. Of course, we had many uphills, and it felt very strong, but definitely like that last very steep climb up Polly Shorts, which was like about 2 kilometers, but very, very steep. Yeah, I'm definitely feeling that one in the legs because afterwards it was very close to cramping, which is why I didn't dare to speed up, like quite enough to run the course record. But yeah, I feel good. Very happy about my race. Yeah, like I said in my in my other interviews, like I kind of came here with unfinished business from last year. Uh, of course, I got second by I think 2.23 seconds last year. So I mean that was quite a tough one at the time. Like cost me a lot of money, and but mostly, of course, like you always want to win, and if you're so close, like you can smell it, and yeah, and then just to miss it, like. I felt some disappointment also last year, but like of course it was still like the greatest achievement of my running career at the time. But now to come back, like in better shape, better prepared, and then just like yeah, let the entire plan come to fruition right now is like amazing, and it just gives me so much confidence for the future. But mostly right now, I'm just enjoying the race and the attention and the glory and everything.
For sure, for sure. I know there's so much hard work that goes into this, especially, with you training in Kenya. It's not always as glamorous as this. So when you have these results, you need to soak them up. You need to obviously completely own them because they're not going to be around forever, and you thoroughly deserve it. Okay, wait, let's just rewind before we talk about this race. And I want to digress into a lot of questions. I put up an Instagram question sticker, and a lot of people are interested in what went into this win, which we'll sort of dissect a little bit later. But let's just rewind to last year. We were all watching Comrades 2023. You're making your debut. It looked like you were on the like second was on the cards, and then you put in quite a big surge towards the end, and it ended up being almost a sprint finish. Like you said, it was just over 2 seconds in it. One, do you think if you had surged earlier, could you have got the win? Was there a little bit more in the tank? And number two, speaking from experience like myself, I've once gone for a sub 230 marathon and missed out by 1 second, 230 and 1 second. I'm currently trying to break 220 in the marathon. I'm on 220 in 8 seconds. But what I find that, missing out by a few seconds, it hurts, don't get me wrong, but there's nothing more motivational because you're like, I've got to go back to the drawing boards. I've got to make it right next time. Was that in a way like a blessing in disguise for you?
No, that's exactly what I felt after the race last year. So interesting to hear. Yeah, almost the exact same words coming from you because, like I also told it in the interview. I think after the race, like yeah, right now uh, it it's I felt very emotional, of course, like missing out just by 2 seconds. But at the same time, like instantly, I'm already feeling like okay, maybe this is best for me, because like it's not always good, like getting everything that you want on the first try. Of course, last year didn't just miss out on the win, but also on the course record because we both ran far a bit below the old course record. But obviously, only the first guy gets a premium and the glory. So yeah, that was major. But at the same time, yeah, like I said, it kept me hungry and yeah, motivated to come back this year. And yeah, right now, like with the course record, like missing out on it ever so slightly, it's kind of the same thing. So also this year after the race, like I mean, it was very different, like because I had the goal that I was aiming for. Like for me, everything was about the win. I promised myself I'm gonna win this race, and I'm just gonna give everything for this. And yeah, the reason I missed out was like I said, I was edging on cramps, and I just couldn't risk, like losing the victory based on yeah, speeding up too fast over last 7K, or taking too much risk. Like, I would never forgive myself that. But at the same time, yeah, that there was both this year and last year, there was still something in the tank after the race, I felt. So I think in both occasions, I would have been able to like physically probably to get it. But like in practice, it's always more difficult, and yeah, last year I think for a long time, maybe I was kind of missing the conviction at some point in the race, or at least at a critical juncture, that I was kind of missing the conviction that I could still win this race, because I was very far behind Teta at some point, more than a minute, and we were already like in the last 10 kilometers. And then in the end, like I was able to like maintain my pace, and Teta was kind of slowing down, so I was able to get very, very close, closer than I thought. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's always easy to say after the race. Yeah, I mean, if the race had been a little bit longer, if I'd sped up a little bit earlier, I would have gotten it. At the same time, of course, I could see that Teta was responding to me. He was constantly looking over his shoulder, which on the one hand meant that that he was, hurting as well. Like, and for me, it's like a confirmation. Like, okay, I'm actually, like catching up, and he's actually afraid. But at the same time, it also meant that like he was responding to my every move. So like when he was entering the stadium last year, he was kind of jogging, like enjoying the victory, not feeling that I was as close behind him as I was. And then when I turned out to be close to him, then of course like he started sprinting as well. So it's not as easy as to say like, okay, if I'd sped up, like 1 minute earlier, or if the course had been 20 meters longer, I would have gotten it. But I think 2 kilometers probably would have been enough. So.
Amazing to hear from your side. I mean, like almost 90 kilometers, and there's a difference of 3 seconds between first and second is just unbelievable. But yeah, watching it is one thing, but hearing what goes through your mind and stuff is a complete different thing. Just to touch base this year on the record. So we're following it on TV. We can see you very, very close to the record. It's quite nice for you to speak to say you knew you wanted to guarantee the win in a way. But you couldn't risk going for the record because you were on the verge of cramp. So how close were you to that record? Will you just remind us? And how much financial incentive is there to break that record?
Uh, but the last part of the question, I don't want to talk about too much, because it's a major financial incentive. Like, I think prize money this year was 10% higher than last year, like from Comrades itself. So it used to be 500,000 rand, and but they increased it by 10%, so it was 550. But then there was also new sponsors, LC, who like put like big bonuses, both on the win, so that was 50% extra, and on not running the course record, but running the fastest average speed ever. Because and in Comrades, this is like significant, because the race like differs slightly in distance every single year, because usually there are roadworks at some part of the course, so they have to kind of change it a little bit. And this year was the shortest Comrades in history, basically, which was also like part of the reason that we should have that I felt like we should have run a course record, but we just went so slow in the first half, so it wasn't that easy. And I think coming through the way we did, like I think 2:48 halfway, like nobody would have expected us to come anywhere near the course record. But it was just because I started pushing so much at the time that we got close. But yeah, I mean, like at those last 7K, like if I'd known that at the end there would have been 11 seconds from this course record. And to answer your question, that was 500,000 rand, so that was like basically double the prize money, but like the original prize money from Comrades. So yeah, that was quite a big incentive that I missed. So it's an expensive 11 seconds, but at the same time, like I said, uh, yeah, it's gonna keep me hungry to come back next time to get the course record. Like next year, I want the course record going down, even if it's gonna be a little bit longer. Like I know I'll be a better athlete. I know, like now I can dictate the race, because I know people are gonna follow me and not so much me following them. And then in 2 years, like just try to do the same for the up run. Like, of course, I don't want to look ahead too far yet. Like one race at a time. So I'm just next year is just all about the down run, all about the win there, and hopefully like a course record isn't reached. But yeah, I think in 2 years I'll be hungry to get that course record. Like complete last weekend's mission basically.
Oh man, I mean, just listening to it, we feel your pain. You know what? There's two ways to look at it. It's almost like you go to a casino and you walk out with 500,000 rand, but you were up by 1 million at one stage. So it's like you had the 1 million, but you're still walking away with 500. So you know what? Like, forget about that. That's your motivation right there. When you're winning, it's hard to stay motivated, but there's some added motivation, and really nice to hear that they've upped the financial incentive. I mean, we there's not that much money in running in general, so it's really nice to know that sponsors are coming to the party, and you thoroughly deserve it.
No, absolutely, and I think it's a good matter for like I could have gone for the course record, like so to speak, put all my chips on red, but then like there's also 50% chance that you lose all your chips. So yeah, I didn't want to risk that because, like I said, like it was more than just about the money or more than even just about the glory. It was for me. This is for one, like a promise I made both to myself and to other people to win this race and to do everything for that. And on the other hand, it's going to be a lifestyle change. So also before the race, I was interviewed. I said like, or they asked me like, what does winning Comrades mean to you, or what will it mean if you make it? And I was like, yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a change of my life because right now, in the last two months before Comrades, I went 6 weeks to Kenya. I trained full time for first time in my life for 4 to 6 weeks. I just felt, like, I mean, there's so much more in the tank than I ever thought possible because I was making so much progress every single week, and so much inspiration just there, like being in Kattegat, breathing the same air as some of the best runners in the world, and doing some workouts together. But and most of the time, just I think the most important part is just like the amount of rest that you're getting. I was away from everything. No social media, no nothing, no academics for once. Just focusing on training. So every morning, we woke up at 6 a.m. We train. We eat a big breakfast. I take a nap. In the afternoon, we run again. You repeat this every day, and I could just notice, like compared to what I was doing in Italy, where I live. I mean, this was a night and day difference, and like I could improve. I can still improve so much, and this is also what's well, what has given me the idea basically to go try for a series marathon this year. Like I've run two official marathons so far, but both as like build up to Comrades. So after kind of 2 months of build up at most, because both times I was injured for a long period before that. So now just like having this confirmation, like okay, Kenya has worked out. My shape is the best it's ever been from just 6 weeks in Kenya. It makes me very, very curious. Like what can I do after 6 months in Kenya, and can I actually, you know, perform at an international stage on like one of the Olympic distances, and that is very exciting for me.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing. You know what? I think to people listening, and including myself, how much of a difference does it make living a professional athlete's life? Okay, so let's say in the past you've done professional athletes training, so you're hitting the training you need to in order to compete at the highest level. But when there's, life distractions, let's say, and you have a full-time job and you're not getting the rest you should be, how much of a difference does it make to just seclude yourself in a place like Kapstagat in Kenya and live that professional athlete life? Like, do you feel a significant difference in your running?
Yeah, absolutely, and I think I felt this from the first week that I was in Kenya. Like, I think the main difference is not so much the altitude, maybe not even like all the great professional runners that are around there. Although of course it's a very big motivation, but it's mostly just the amount of rest that you're getting additionally, because this amount of rest sets you up to basically put more mileage in a week while maintaining like the same quality or even better quality in your workouts, and I could just notice this. And not just the rest, but also, you know, like the consistency in every single day. You know, like, okay, like in Italy, it was usually like I would run when I felt good. You know, like just trying to listen to my body. But usually, it would take like quite a long time in the morning to work up to that run, especially if it was a big run, and it would usually need caffeine and all this kind of stuff. And in Kenya, it was just like, you know, like you wake up between 5 and 6, and every morning you just run at 6, you know, and your body just gets used to this, you know, like you notice it starts responding to this. So like before this, I was, you know, like adapting, you know, like the time of my workout due to how I was feeling, you know, like physically, mentally. But now it's just, you know, like your body can expect a certain time of day in which you're going to go out and run, and it just works very well, you know, like. And I was doing some of the best workouts of my life while being in altitude, while running before breakfast, while running without caffeine, and just, you know, like just because this schedule was working so well for me. And I think this is a major thing, and if I can do this over long term, it's definitely going to make big changes for me. Even now, after 6 weeks, I could just notice that my body was just looking different. Like at some point, my masseur in Kenya, he was like, "Yeah, your legs have gotten smaller." You know, like before this, I had very big legs, especially my quadriceps are quite big. And yeah, over time in Kenya, I could just notice that I was leaner, not so much in terms of fat, but also in terms of muscle, which means, you know, that was losing a bit of muscle, which, you know, like obviously is dangerous or can be dangerous. But at the same time, I was eating so much, I was resting so much, I never had the feeling that I was, you know, like not recovering well. So I think it was just, you know, like we were doing so much work on the hills. It was just, you know, like my body responding to this, you know, like making sure it was as efficient as possible to run all these hills. And yeah, just, you know, like maintaining the functional muscle but losing some of the excess weight. And I could notice that then in Comrades as well. I was just feeling lighter and fast on those hills. And I mean, that's a very big confirmation, of course, that the training has worked out well. So I'm glad it did, because of course always it's a risk trying something completely new. And that's what it was in Kenya. Like initially in the year, I was thinking like, okay, I'm just gonna keep on running in Italy the same way I've done last year, you know, like. And also to answer your other question, like I was basically both running and both studying, so doing a bit of half of both, you know. And like and I felt at the time, you know, like, okay, the studying is just, I mean, it's also something I need in my mind. It's also like a different kind of outlet from the running, so it's like I'm combining it very well. And of course, you know, like I had some success with this approach, because I did get second at Comrades, and I did get third at the 100K World Championships the year before. But still, at the time, I was running maybe 140 kilometers a week. I think my biggest weeks were, and I could just not maintain more um, without getting injured, and or without, you know, like not recovering enough for, you know, like the quality workouts. And for me, it's always like the quality workouts in a week, like delivering quality on those workouts is far and away the most important thing, not the mileage itself. But being able to do both in Kenya, just because I was getting so much more rest, just means you get the complete picture, you know. So you have both the mileage and the quality and the rest. And like I could just notice, you know, like how much I improved over just 6 weeks. So yeah.
That's incredible how much what a difference it made in just 6 weeks. 6 weeks, 42 days. That's it. You know, at altitude in Kenya, away from distractions. So I think a lot of people in the Western world always want to know, like, you know, we're seeing a lot more documented training of people in Kenya and how the Kenyans train and stuff. And I think a lot of us sit here and wonder, like, oh, if we could just go to altitude for a few weeks away from distractions, focus on running, what a difference it'll make. So it's really nice to hear you confirm that it does make a significant difference.
It does, but at the same time, it's not a guarantee. Like I'd been to Kenya once before, at the end of 2018, beginning of 2019. I was staying there for 3 months. But at the time, you know, like I was still doing conventional distances, And yeah, I was in Gong, which is kind of the east side of the Rift Valley, whereas Kattegat and Eldoret and Iten are on the west side of the Rift Valley. But still, it's at altitude. It's a town with many professional runners, so it was a good place for training. But every morning I would wake up, same thing basically at 6. I would run, but then I would go to the orphanage where I was, like volunteering, was teaching kids there, and then I would go back and I would go for another run. But it was just a very different. Um, yeah, routine, let's say. And although during the camp I felt myself improving a lot, like coming back, I could not capitalize on it because also the last day in Kenya, I got like norovirus, so stomach flu basically, and was feeling very sick on my way back. And then like I recovered, like a day later basically, but still like I'm not sure why, but I just felt slow kind of after coming back. So like also my race afterwards did not go well. And that was also like why I was saying like it's always a calculated risk, like making a big change. And this time it was like going to altitude, but at the same time I felt like okay, I don't want to play it too safe this year, like because I was, like I said, I was kind of planning on doing the same training in Italy that I'd been doing before because it worked for me, and now maybe like a little bit better because I had a little bit more time. But then I started thinking about it, and I was like, yeah, I mean, but like being second last year and doesn't is no guarantee that it's going to be enough this year to get even podium, let alone the win. So it's like I mustn't focus too much on what has worked on me in the past. I mustn't focus too much on how I expect my opponents to perform. I just need to be the best athlete I can be. And for me, it was like, okay, right now the stars are aligned basically to go to Kenya and to work there because I graduated last November. I had more time right now. I was only mostly applying to PhDs this year, which I was initially planning on starting next year. Um, but yeah, so I just had a period of time before Comrades in which I knew, okay, now I have the time to go. And then I contacted an old friend of mine, Jose Keblagat, who I knew from that last time in Kenya, like 5 years before. And then he called me back and he was like, yeah, I mean, I moved to Kattegat. You can stay with me in my house. I mean, the house turned out to be, like basically single room without running water and just us taking, like ice bucket showers every day as showers. And so very basic, but at the same time I felt like it was exactly what I needed to get away from things, to get into this routine. Just felt disciplined, and I was actually like resting, like also mentally just resting better than ever, I think. And I think yeah, that made a big difference, not just the physical aspect but also the mental aspect, like this combination of the two. It just worked so well for me in Kenya, and that's what allowed me to feel that I was progressing every single week in Kenya, and it made me very confident, like about how I was going to do in Comrades. But then still, of course, there is, like okay, after camp, you still need to get used to sea level, and also this can be tricky because it's usually like a range of days after coming back from sea level in which your body is actually feels quite bad. So either you want to plan your race like in the first 4 days after coming down from altitude, or after 12 days, because usually like between 5 and 12 days the body is worse. But then again, athletes differ, so for some athletes it can last like up until 15 days, but most athletes on day 16 they're good. So this was exactly how I planned it. Like okay, 16 days before Comrades I go down to South Africa, to Pretoria, which was actually not entirely sea level but like kind of medium altitude, because it was like around 1300 meters and it came down from 2500 in Kattegat, um, which meant that I was still getting like getting used to the lower altitude. And also like I felt exactly like, especially on day 5 and 6 after coming down from altitude, that my body was bad. Although at the same time I also got a cold, so I don't know which was the biggest factor, but those were the days that I was definitely feeling by far the worst. And then I remember on day 7 of coming down from altitude, I did a fast fart leg, but like short, so like 2 minute, 1 minute, and I could still feel that the body was a little bit off, but like the speed just felt so good, came so naturally, and I just knew like okay, I haven't lost all the work that I've done in Kenya, and that was kind of the first indication like okay, body is responding well to this, because like the dip was something I expected, but then already recovering on day 7, and then by the end of the week I was already feeling good again, and then it was still one more week, of tapering to Comrades. So just making sure not to do too much. Also dieting in a certain way. I was doing a carb load that week, so I was depleting the first 3 days of the race, and then from first day onwards, I was like, eating lots of carbs, just to get like a bit more of a tank of glycogen during the race, and yeah, it turned out very well. But it did mean that like for a couple of days, like in that week, like you're feeling worse, and then even on like Thursday and Friday, my body was still like feeling quite slow, and yeah, not really fast, but I think this was also due to kind of inactivity, because you're tapering towards this race. So trying to do as little as possible those days before the race. So I wasn't getting too worried about this, because I just knew, okay, body feels a bit slow, but it's just, like me getting ready for this race. And even if worst comes to worst, I'm still feeling like this on Sunday. Then I have like half the race to warm up, because the race basically only starts in the second half. So yeah, this is kind of how it went.
Cool, cool. It's amazing to hear how, like, I'm sure a lot of people that do races, you sort of get paranoia in a way sometimes, but often you tend to get a bit sick in the build up. And okay, in your case, it was about 7 to 10 days before, which is actually okay, because you sometimes that's a good thing, because you strong come race day. But in that moment when you lying in bed with a bit of flu, you must be thinking like, oh, I've undone all this good work, all the, these 6 weeks of training, and here I am lying sick. But I suppose, you know what, you've got to trust the process, got to give yourself the best chance, and it paid off.
No, it's always like this, and I mean, one of the biggest risks, of course, going on a camp like this is overtraining. Um, and this was definitely something I was trying to avoid, but just listening to my body a lot. I was also wearing my Garmin, like every night, so I was kind of watching my heart rate variability as well, and it kind of stabilized after the first 2 weeks. So I just knew like, okay, body's doing well, because it was just a confirmation of what I was already feeling, basically, like I'm recovering well from these workouts. And that's one thing. And the other thing is like, yeah, I mean, if you're in conditions like this, it's very easy to get a certain virus. And also turned out for me, like, I think 2 days after arriving in Kaptagat, I got the same stomach flu that I that I had like 5 years before in Kenya, but on the last day. But I was actually happy getting it, because I was feeling very, very sick for like about one day, and then the day after I was still feeling very weak, and I couldn't really eat much. But I was like kind of happy, like, okay, it's happening now, which means that like then I'm not gonna get this virus later on, and I can just like focus on training and everything.
So what would a typical training week of yours look like? I think a lot of people are interested to know. I know previously you said on here you built up to around 140 Ks back when you were, living in Italy, and at that stage your body was breaking. Have you sort of adapted, and did you do bigger weeks in the build up? And what would a typical Monday to Sunday look like? And in Kenya, were you doing a lot of your training by yourself, I assume, and then sometimes, group fartlek sessions and stuff like that?
No, absolutely. Like for me, yeah, like I said, in Italy, like 140 was about the maximum. Like maybe I could have worked up to more, but at the same time, like I said, at the time it wasn't the priority. Priority was just like the big quality workouts. Also having like certain long runs in which you can run at race pace, like 50, 60K. Those are just confirmation of your shape. Um, and yeah, I mean, my my weak point is basically my Achilles tendons. Those are my Achilles heels, so to speak. And last year after Comrades, after Comrades I was actually not feeling that bad. But then I took like days off from running for like two weeks, so I didn't run at all. And then when I started again, that's when I felt the Achilles injury, and it took far longer to recover from than I expected. It took about half a year until December that I was finally able to run kind of pain free again. But only in February, in the end, that I was actually able to run daily again. So that was quite a long injury. And sorry, kind of lost. No, that was quite a long injury. So this is always something that I'm looking out for, because also 2 years ago, before the 100K World Championships, I had the same thing. So it's just something that's recurring. And if I'm doing a lot of runs on tarmac, I know I'm risking like getting injured in this. So in Kenya, I was definitely monitoring this, but I just noticed that like because of all the running on the dirt roads, I was able to do much more without getting injured, and also like due to the additional amount of rest and everything, I was just like staying uninjured, let's say for a good time. And this allowed me to do more, and this is also why I want to come back to Kenya so much, because it's just like I can do more while still maintaining whole my body, and was also getting like massages about twice a week. So usually if there was something stuck, then the masseur would instantly notice, and he was massaging very, very hard. So he would usually like massage it out, and you would be sore for a little bit after, but then the next day it would be good again. And I don't know, this was definitely one of the most important parts. And sorry, what was the other part of your question?
The other part was Monday to Sunday. Like, what would just a typical week look like, and what mileage would you finish on?
Yeah. So back in Italy, basically same thing. Like I was doing maximum 140. Um, then the week before I went to Kenya, like the weekend before I went to Kenya, like 4 days before, I think, I did the Milan Marathon, but just again as a build-up race, because officially I still had to qualify for elites and comrades, so I had to run like a sub 230 marathon or something like this. And I ran 221 just kind of as a tempo workout, but at the same time, I didn't feel like it could have gone much faster at the time, because the body was still not good, because I'd only been running shortly. That marathon was actually my longest run that I had done in the year. Like before that, my longest run was I think 30 kilometers, because it was still building up. But still, I could notice that I recovered from this very well. And then when I was in Kenya, I could also know, I was like, okay, my speed has even gotten better. Um, and then like in Kenya, I think we started out. I think the first week when I was ill, I for like 2 days, I still managed to do like 160 kilometers, and the week after it was about 170, then 180, 180, then 200 was my biggest week, and then 180 again, approximately. So this was basically like the mileage for those weeks. And yeah, typical week would usually look like. Well, let's say we start on Monday, then Monday would be like long run in the morning, or like medium long run, so like 25K, maybe 20, and then usually like recovery run in the afternoon of like 10 kilometers. Then the next day would be usually fartlek in the morning, like especially like after the first 3 weeks, because in the first 3 weeks you're still kind of acclimatizing, so you don't want to go too fast. But then after that time, I think yeah, just short of 3 weeks that I was in Kaptagat, I started doing those fartlek runs with like the group from Global Sports, so also Kipchoge's group. But like it's not just his group, but it's like runners from around the area that just come to that group to train. So it's quite a big group, and I was noticing that I was doing surprisingly well from the first time. And then those fartlek workouts, they would look like usually like 3 minutes fast, 1 minute easy, and of course if you're running with runners like Kipchoge, or if you're running behind them, let's say, then yeah, it's not to be expected that at the end of a workout you're still as strong as running as strong as they are. So usually it was like it would be running, especially towards the end of the workout, you would be running 3 minutes, but then you would still have to kind of catch up towards the group when they were having rest. So at some point the rest gets really small, like maybe 40 seconds if you're lucky, of jogging, and then you start again. Like, and of course that was very tough, but I could notice very clearly that every week I was managing to stay like longer with that group, and basically like also finishing with them. Whereas at first I was kind of lost contact at the end of the workout, and now I was still able to catch up at least during the rest every single time. And especially feeling strong, like during the first part of the workout. And then on Monday, sorry, Wednesday would kind of be similar to Monday. So like again, like this medium long run in the morning. Although in later weeks we try to do like like a long run with lots of hills, you know. So it would actually go up all the way to 2,750 meters altitude, like a route with lots of hills up and down. And so it could also be like a 30k run. And then if we did 30k in the morning, then we would usually not do a recovery run in the evening. When it was like 20 or 25, then again we would do like the 10k, but like really easy in the afternoon. Like afternoon workouts were always very slow, you know. So like 10 kilometers an hour, so 6 minutes per kilometer, maybe 5:30, but nothing faster than this because it was just purely for recovery. Then the first day morning, that's usually, you know, like when Kipchoge's group also does the long run of the week. So like they don't do it on Sunday, they do it on Thursday. But I didn't join them because my long runs kind of had to be longer than theirs. So especially when I was doing, you know, like those specific Comrades runs of like 40k, 50k, 60k, like they were probably doing 30, so it wasn't an option to join them. But yeah, so usually I would do those with my roommate Hosea, and yeah, when I was doing, you know, like 50k, 60k, then he would just run with me up until 40 kilometers, and then he would then he would jump on the motorbike, because we would usually be supported by like the neighbor on the motorbike who would give us the drinks and everything, and this would usually be, you know, like around Comrades race pace, and then also we did this workout a couple times on Fridays, so it can differ a little bit. And then, you know, like in the weekend it's usually a little bit easier. So like at first we would probably do like three quality workouts a week. So then still on Saturday we could do a track workout, but I didn't do much track, only in the first 2 weeks, when I still felt like, okay, I need to maintain my speed and everything. But when I was having like the full schedule, we kind of felt like track wasn't really necessary. It wasn't the best use of my time, at least for Comrades, because my speed was already far and away good enough to run Comrades fast enough. So the most important thing was just these fartlek workouts, these specific long runs at race pace, and just doing lots of hills. And then so the weekend would usually be a little bit easier. So again, Saturday maybe 25k in the morning, recovery run in the evening, and Sunday usually just one run, because Sunday would usually be like the easy day in the week. Most runners actually that I knew in the area, they would just take a complete rest day, maybe go to church or whatever, and I would usually still do like maybe 20k in the morning, but like easy, so you can start the week fresh again from Monday. And also, if you look, for instance, at the runners from Global Sports, they would usually, like, they would have, like, on Saturday morning, they would have like the last really hard workout of the week. So they would go to the track, usually in Dorred, to run a very fast track workout, and then after that they would go to their homes, to their families. So they would be kind of away, probably run for themselves on Sunday and Monday morning, and then Monday evening they would kind of come back to Kattegat again, because Thursday morning or Tuesday morning again would be the fartlek workout. So again, the first fast workout of the week, let's say. So that's what they were doing. But yeah, for me it was mostly at the end like 2 quality workouts a week, because the second one was very long. It was like 50-60k at the end. So because I need this for Comrades.
Thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing. Very insightful, I must say. Okay, now that you've come second in Comrades, you've won this year. You've obviously proved yourself as an athlete. You're definitely going to be firm favorites going into next year. A couple of questions. One, will you just remind us of your age, and then two, are you able to live a professional athlete life after this, or will you still have to sort of work on the side?
Yeah, so excuse me. So I'm 26. So definitely for an ultra runner, still quite young. Although I feel like this is yeah, it's kind of still my strength, you know, and I feel like I'm in my kind of closing in on my prime right now. So this is also why I want to try focusing on the marathon. And yeah, what you're saying, I definitely have plans right now to start running full time. Like it is, like I said, now 6 weeks in Kenya turned out to be very well. So I just want to see like if I'm gonna do this for half a year or even a year. Especially if I can do most of this in Kenya, then I think it can improve very much. And I feel like right now I finally have this opportunity to do this. I kind of decided before running Comrades that, okay, if I'm gonna win, I'm gonna come back here for a long time in Kenya and just run full time, and that's what I'm gonna do. I think so far I don't have sponsors, unfortunately. Like it's quite difficult because last year after Comrades I was like all of a sudden like I skyrocketed in fame in South Africa, but outside of South Africa very few people knew me. So and in Europe also running unfortunately is not quite that big. So like sponsors were just showing no interest whatsoever. Like I talked to a manager from Volana Sports. They kind of helped me to try and get sponsors, but like yeah, basically no responses. So I still don't have sponsors except for Martin. They're sending me some free products. Um, I think something is going to change now because I mean, even losing by 2 seconds last year, I mean, winning is still like much bigger and much more publicity. So I think I'll manage some sort of contract right now. But yeah, we're going to see how much it's going to be. For now, the prize money is definitely enough to maintain me for a while. Although I kind of want to use at least part of it to try and pay off part of my study debts because right now the debt is still quite high. But still, like in Kenya, also life is not that expensive, so it should be able to last me for a while. And then, of course, next year, I'm just trying to get this financial windfall from Comrades again if everything goes well. So we'll see. And yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward to trying to run full time right now. And even if like money turns out not to be enough, like I can still go back to South Africa and get appearance fees and things like this, maybe even get a contract from Netbank. But the only thing is, like, if I want to get a contract from Netbank, I actually need to be in South Africa for much of the year. And so far, I've not been able to or not willing to do this. Like of course, I was finishing my degree still, so it wasn't really an option beforehand. But also right now, like Kenya worked out so well for me, so I don't want to make this big change by suddenly moving to South Africa and training there. But maybe I'll go there for a month. Get like I said, get some money from appearance fees. According to Nick, to to our Nick Bester, the team leader of NetBank, he says there's a lot of money to be made in this if you're winning for Comrades. So we'll see. This is an option in my mind. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do it because right now, like I said, the main next goal is Valencia Marathon in December. But I'm still kind of half considering doing the 100K world record attempt in September, which is organized by Alexander Sorokian. Last year, it was I participated in it as well, but it was exactly 4 weeks before Comrades, and I led this race actually until 72K. And then I decided to quit my race because the course didn't really suit me, and I knew like, okay, if I'm gonna finish this race, I won't be able to finish podium on Comrades, and Comrades is more important for me right now. But now it's after Comrades, so if my body responds or recovers very quickly from this, then it's still kind of an option to do that because I know physically I definitely have it in me to run world record over 100K, and I think even to run below 6 hours. But it needs to be the right course, right circumstances, everything. So a lot of things need to be in place, and I know from experience this can be very difficult to organize over 100 kilometers. But I just hope that the course is going to be a little bit better in September, and so that's still an option. And if I'm going to do that, then I just want to get back to Kenya as quickly as possible to start my build up again, because I mean time is not that long until September, of course. So I would really need to continue building up on the shape that I have now, as opposed to like starting my season all the way over. So it's really dependent on how I recover right now.
For sure, for sure. Okay, so 26 years old, you've still got a lot of potential in front of you. You're super confident, and so you should be because you know what you're capable of, and especially in the short space of time. So yeah, I think you're in for a very big 10 years coming up, and it blows my mind to think that you're not a fully sponsored athlete. But I just have a feeling some really good opportunities are going to come up. So just keep doing what you're doing, and yeah, it's a matter of time before something really good falls in place for you. So that brings me to my next question. You kind of answered it there. I was going to ask what's next for you. So you said 100K world champs potentially, seeing how things come
No,
on.
world record attempt.
Sorry, world record attempt.
Well, championships are in December, but I'm probably gonna skip this because I really want to go for Valencia. Maybe a combination of both. Like when I was training in Kenya, like Kenyans were saying, like, yeah, I mean, if you're training for longer, you'll be able to run, like 208, 207. Like, obviously they shout these things, like, but I mean, 208, 207 is just very, very fast. Like, I'm not going to run that this year. I'm realistic enough to uh, to know this. But still, like, like I don't know how my body's going to respond to 6 months in Kenya, so or 5 months or 4 months or whatever it's going to be. But if I could run, like close to 211, 210, that would be like a massive step for sure. And yeah, if I could run that, I would be very, very happy.
Amazing, amazing. Well, we're all backing you. And do you know what it sounds to me? It sounds to me like if you go back into your comfort zone within Kenya, get stuck into routine. But the biggest thing, don't get injured because you've got a history of injuries in the past. Easier said than done. But if you're able to consistently nail a few months of training, then you're going to significantly level up and you're already on a super high level. So very keen to see how the next few years play out.
No, absolutely. And like I said, Kenya just worked for me, and I know I had no injury troubles whatsoever over these 6 weeks, even though I was running far longer mileage than I'd ever done before in my life. So it's just the right formula for me, I think, and just need to keep on monitoring the body.
Yeah, yeah. Look, like I said, I've targeted a sub 220 marathon now, and I'm lining up for my seventh attempt at Berlin in a few months' time. And I've got to 220 in 8 seconds. I've averaged 221 over my last five, but I need to find that missing little X factor. So it sounds like I should definitely come join you in Kenya for a little bit. My problem is that I've got a 1 year old and a 3 year old, and yeah, they keep me busy, and it's a bad idea to bring them to Kenya with me, and I can't stay away from them for too long. So yeah, if they grow up a little bit and I haven't broken 220, I'm definitely going to come join you for a bit.
For sure, you're definitely invited.
Cool. Thanks so much, Pete. Enjoy the precious family time you have now.
Yeah.
Rejuvenate, supercharge, and just so cool to catch up with you today.
No, thanks for the invitation. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, good luck with your marathon. I'm sure you'll break 220 very soon. So
Cool. Awesome. Thanks so much. And congrats once again. Okay.
thank you.
Cheers, champ. Bye bye.
Cheers.